Association, but has an interesting approach to sort of demonstrate some of the issues that we're talking about. All right, no problem. I'm going to order pizza.
Are you grocery shopping this morning, or did you have yourself prepared?
Oh my goodness. Great.
Are we making s'mores? What's going on here? Okay,
Thank you.
Wait until after I'm done, okay?
I'm sorry, I like something.
All right.
Good afternoon. I was going to say good morning, but it's no longer morning. Thank you, Chairman Mako, for allowing me to do something a little unconventional with my testimony, so I appreciate that, and I hope everybody enjoys it. As you said, I'm Michelle Kussow. I'm with the Wisconsin Grocers Association. You guys met me last week. The Wisconsin Grocers represents 1,000 retailers, chain stores, food brokers, warehouses, and suppliers in the state of Wisconsin. And you've heard this over and over, but grocery stores are high volume, low margin businesses. On average, a grocery store carries about 40,000 items, called stock keeping units. Walmart, just to give you an example, carries about 150,000 items. Either way, it's a lot of products, and retailers are responsible for determining the taxability of each item. You've heard over and over that food and food ingredients are exempt from the sales tax. And on the surface, you think, okay, food is exempt. So anything I buy in a grocery store that I eat is non-taxable? Unfortunately, it's not that easy. On average, 60 to 70% of the items are not taxable, and the remaining are taxable. In 2009, as Secretary Chandler alluded to, Wisconsin sales tax laws were conformed to the Streamlined Sales and Use Tax Agreement, the SSTP. It was sold as a way to make tax administration and collection easier by developing common definitions among conforming states. SSTP is beneficial for stores that operate across state lines, and that is assuming that they subscribe to the same, the SSTP definitions, and that they've chosen to tax each of the individual categories underneath. But for all others, there was nothing streamlined about the tax laws. Wisconsin grocers are still as confused as ever about what is taxable and what is not taxable. In SSTP states, common definitions were created under food and food ingredients. The subcategories include candy, soft drinks, prepared food, and dietary supplements. States could determine which of those categories would be taxable and which would be exempt. And in Wisconsin, food and food ingredients are not taxable, but the other 4 subcategories are. And under each of those categories, as Secretary Chandler said, there are numerous exceptions and exemptions. And even under those exemptions, there are more exceptions. The Department of Revenue prepares a document intended to clarify taxability of food items specifically for grocers. I've handed that out for you. It's 61 pages. It gives dozens of examples and lots of lists, but it doesn't indicate taxability specifically on any product. So I'm going to give the committee a quiz on these items just to see how you do. And it's an open book test. You can read through that 61-page booklet and try and figure it out, and let's see how you do. All right, so. Right. So again, food and food ingredients are not taxable, but candy is one of the subcategories that's taxable. Statutorily, candy is defined to mean a preparation of sugar, honey, or other natural and artificial sweetener combined with chocolate, fruit, nuts, or other ingredients or flavorings in the form of bars, drops, or pieces. Candy does not include a preparation that contains flour or that requires refrigeration. So I'm going to hold up a few of these items under category, and you let me know if you think it's taxable by holding up the green taxable card, or if you think it's not taxable, hold up the pink non-taxable card, and keep track of how many you get right. All right, the first one. Almond Joy.
I'd say not taxable.
Almond Joy is taxable.
It's got nuts in it, though. It's got almonds in it. Oh,
Twix.
I already know that one.
Oh, that has flour, yeah.
Correct. Correct. It's not taxable because it has flour. All right, a slime liquor. So
What?
this is just, it's a liquid candy. Liquid candy.
I'm saying we tax that. That's weird. That's just, we better be taxing that.
Did you guys allow that during the Doyle administration? Oh, sorry.
Come on, Andre.
This is not taxable because it's not in the form of bars, drops, or pieces.
Right, except you.
Talk about necessity versus not necessity. Not taxable. Not
Oh,
taxable.
that's a
All
necessity.
right, granola bars. So,
Okay, granola bars. Oh, that's easy.
all right,
Come on.
granola bars. We've got this Kashi ripe strawberry soft baked cereal bars.
Okay, we don't tax that.
Not taxable, correct. All right, these are probably better than those. What do you think about these?
Is that nuts in it? Oh, those are taxable.
We're gonna tax nuts.
Correct. All right, taxable.
Weird.
All right,
Yeah, that is.
marshmallows.
What? Marshmallows.
Candy or not?
Oh, no, they're
Taxable.
not
We better tax it.
Nope. Marshmallows are taxable, but
Oh, they are.
marshmallow fluff, what do you think of that?
Oh, marshmallows that contain.
That's taxable too.
You just told us the answer. It says marshmallows that
She's looking at the book.
Not taxable because
Shut
it's not in the form of bars, drops, or pieces.
That is
This
crazy.
doesn't contain flour.
But what marshmallow does contain flour?
There you go. See? Now we're
All
having
right,
fun.
last one in candy is this chocolate syrup.
Oh, that better be, you should give that away for free. That's so good stuff right there.
We have that in our house. I have the marshmallows too.
All right, it's not taxable. I should
It's
give you
not
that.
taxable.
Yeah,
Why is
there
it
you go.
chocolate not taxable?
Because it's a syrup, I think.
A syrup.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
I've lost track.
So, all right, moving on to soft drinks. Soft drink is defined to mean a beverage that contains less than 5% of alcohol and that contains natural artificial sweeteners. It doesn't include a beverage that contains milk or milk products, soy, rice, or similar milk substitutes, or more than 50% vegetable or fruit juice by volume. So, let's start with the Old Orchard.
It's 100% juice.
100% juice. Not taxable. All right. What about this Healthy Balance cranberry? All right, well, you guys are catching on, but imagine if it wasn't right after one another. All right.
Now, those things would be typically right next to each other on the shelf.
Yeah, they are. And honestly, I mean, I would think that the cranberry would be just as healthy. I
Looking
wouldn't.
at the packaging, you either want the healthy, the one that says healthy and balanced.
Right.
Neither one of them.
All right, so right here we've got
Neither one of them.
Italian sparkling mineral water,
Uh-huh.
just plain, and we've got it with peach. So what do you think about the plain?
Plain, not
Not taxable, and then peach. You're catching on, but, I mean, you take a look at it,
yeah.
yeah.
Is it the same brand?
I think I've actually.
It's exactly the same.
I'm not the flavored water today.
Is that true?
All right, I got another one for you. Prepared foods are also taxable. So prepared foods, actually, I have more help. Go to Appendix 1 in your books. You have a very nice flow chart that you can follow to figure out, this is the wedding cake example that Representative Kirkman brought up. So you can kind of follow through, you know, where grandma's involved in here
Sometime in
and,
the future, when my kids get married, I'm gonna be.
You're gonna use that
Yes.
flow chart
I'm
right
gonna have
there?
grandma pick up the cake.
all right, so prepared foods, they have a lot of different requirements, but basically it's 2 or more ingredients heated by the retailer or sold unheated by weight or volume, again with numerous exemptions. All right, so it's a donut, a muffin, a cupcake, whatever. It's a baked good. All of them are the same for this. So what do you guys think about that?
It's heated or like, I don't know. I think it's some food. It's
It
not
really doesn't matter. This one's chocolate chip.
Wait, you said
bless you.
It was.
But it was heated. Was it heated? It was heated. I'm gonna say it was baked.
I was just saying.
This would be, totally. Hey, how come you're not voting?
I think you do it.
All right, this is not taxable, but now what is it?
Come on.
I'm not
It becomes
kidding.
a takeable, because it comes, it's
Yep, you're right.
How far away does the knife need to be in order for it to?
Actually, I'm not really
Can
sure.
it be at a separate island outside the broad stand, or?
I'm not even sure about that. I think there's some discretion in there as well. Yeah, if you look at, honestly, if you look through here, there's a lot more information on that, but it's very confusing to say the least.
All of a sudden becomes subjective.
So-
The Walgreens across the street has the utensils that you can grab.
Yeah,
It's not packaged
exactly.
with it, so.
All right,
And also.
all right, I apologize.
That's okay. I
Go
know
ahead.
it
This
was
is fun,
exciting.
but we want to
It
get
was
done
exciting.
here.
And just to bring home the point, I purchased these at a few different retailers, and items were wrong on taxability. I'm not going to tell you what retailers they were, but it's very confusing for retailers, very confusing for everybody.
I did the same test. I went and I bought a Twix and a Twizzlers to see
Yeah.
how I would be charged, and nobody got it right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So now imagine that the Department of Revenue is going to do a sales and use tax audit on your store. So this is 14 items, and DOR examines 50,000 products, or 40 or 50,000. So this again was fun, and sales tax laws, you know, they're not. And imagine if you were the retailer that was supposed to collect tax on an item and you didn't. And not because you were being a nice guy and you thought you'd give your customers a break that day, but just because you don't understand, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. So we've had many retailers that have gone through sales and use tax audits, and they've been fined six-figure fines on items that should have been taxed. And I've never heard of a retailer receiving money back from the state for an item that was taxed that they were supposed to. Secretary Chandler brought that up, but honestly, from what we're told, when they're going into audit, they're only looking at items that should have been taxed. They don't care about the ones that, you know, mistakenly collected the tax. So just to give you an idea of how much an audit can cost, let's use this granola bar box as an example, because it really adds up. So just for the sake of an example, we'll say that that's $5. Let's say a retailer sold 500 boxes of this that year. Sales tax is 0.05%. That's 25 cents for each box. They sold 500 boxes times 25 cents. That's $125. DOR then assesses the fine to the store for the past 3 years. I've actually heard 4 years, but that now brings the fine to $375 for this box. There are a lot of store owners that own more than one store, and unfortunately, Department of Revenue, if you own more than one store, assesses the fine to that many stores. So let's say this one owned 10 stores, so the fine's extended now and it's $3,750. And then to top it off, DOR assesses 12% interest on the fine, and that brings the total fine for not charging sales tax on these cereal bars to $4,200. And unfortunately, it's not just one item that the grocers are being audited on. It is a lot. So you can see how the fines add up to be a lot. And it's not intentional. These are mistakes that they're making because the law is difficult to interpret. I know Secretary Chandler said that taxes should be reasonable and understandable, and we would agree, and there is nothing reasonable or nothing understandable about Wisconsin's sales tax laws specific to food. There are a few things that we think should be done, aside from whether you're going to tax them all or not tax them all. We think that Department of Revenue should maintain a database that contains UPCs of all products and their taxability status. Food warehouses and suppliers would be required to submit a list of products, including the UPC code and the product description, to the Department of Revenue monthly with sales tax revenue submittals. And if used by sellers, then errors would be mitigated and liability would be removed. I handed out a document from 2003 from when they were implementing the streamlined sales tax plan, and that is what we were promised. I highlighted it for everybody in your document. They said that if retailers would participate, they would be provided technology options, and the states would then assume liability for state tax collection. That was 15 years ago, and it has not happened. There are now private companies like Avalara that have a master database of 15 million UPCs and their tax status, and they work with retailers. Retailers contract with them to ensure compliance. They need to, because they have to figure this out. Second, we think that the sales tax allowance could be increased. All retailers, not just grocers, receive a small portion. They are able to retain that when they submit their sales tax, and it's 0.05% of the sales tax collected. And the sales taxes have not increased, but the administrative costs have. And this is all specific to the grocery industry. I think that the cost to collect the sales tax is a lot higher than in other industries, but you add labor costs, utility costs, and other business costs combined with the complexity, and it's a very high cost of compliance. So again, much more than the sales tax allowance and much more than any other industry. And we believe that raising the retailer discount would help with some of these increasing costs. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much. A couple of quick questions. Do you know what percentage, is there averages, the typical person that spends groceries, if their bill is $100, how much of that was taxable? You said 60 to 70% of the items in a 45,000 SKU store are taxable.
Yeah.
You know what that equates to in dollars? I mean, when a person goes in a store, they're going to
Well-
spend $100. Are they going to pay $5 or 5% in tax on all of that, or do you know what purchases are being made, what volume is being made
Yeah,
of that kind of juice versus that kind of juice, or that kind of water versus that kind of water versus?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know that. It'd be good information.
The other question that I have is, do you have any statistics? Is your organization the opposite situation where you would have a law firm that would sue you for the benefit of consumers on a product that you were charging tax for but were not supposed to be charging tax for? Is there any other risk other than non-compliance from DOR? Is there risk from consumer issues?
I imagine there is. I haven't heard of
Okay,
that,
you don't know
though.
that for a fact either. Okay, Representative Katzman.
Thank you, Michelle, very informative. You touched on this a little bit, but is there software, how do grocers comply with this? Like Festival Foods, do they have their proprietary system? Is there just one vendor and like little mom and pops, how do they comply with this?
Well, it's gotten a lot easier in the recent years because of the technology. But before that, they'd go item by item, and then there are new items added weekly, monthly as well, and they have to figure out the taxability, and they would change it. Some are indicated as a B or a T on your receipt. But the technology that's available now, they actually mesh with their systems, and the retailer is able to send them a database with all of their products. They can quick run it, and they can code it, taxable or non-taxable, and they'll actually take responsibility for any errors that they come up with. They work with the Department of Revenue on those voluntary sellers through the streamlined sales tax, so it's approved by the Department of Revenue, and yeah, go ahead.
Representative Jonathan Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, my question was along the lines of the chair's question regarding if there was tax being collected when it shouldn't have been. So, for instance, with the ending of the Lambeau Field sales tax, there were some retailers that continued to collect that sales tax. I think that overage was basically distributed back to municipalities in the same formula that the original excess from the closing was. But I guess I'm just trying to think of how that would even take place. Would it really be returned to the retailer because it was collected from the consumer and then transferred from the consumer to the department? I'm just wondering, in the case where there would be some discovery that tax was improperly collected, how does the consumer, made whole? I guess there's really no way, which is
The
kind of
department
general.
they don't even look at those items.
Yeah.
So it's not even.
But is there a
information.
fine that would be attended to the retailer for, oh no, you were collecting tax and you shouldn't have been?
No,
No?
no, they are only looking at the items where they were supposed to be taxable. So
Gotcha.
they just ask for those items.
Representative Taylor.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle.
Yes.
You're able now to use your phone to scan barcodes,
Mhm.
and it will pop up in certain apps the nutritional information on the product.
Yep.
I am shocked there's not an app that's been created that not just the sellers, but consumers, that consumers know, are they gonna be taxed on this food product? Because we couldn't figure it out sitting here with a list in front of us. And how is a consumer ever gonna know that Nature Valley nut and seed bar is going to be taxed, but the other thing is not going to be taxed? So it's also a consumer issue. But isn't there the technology there already? So do we need one of these tech entrepreneurs to just create an app for us to figure this out? Because the technology doesn't exist already.
Right, we agree. I mean, the technology is there. There isn't an app, but there is the database based on UPC codes. So that information is there.
It's already there.
You know, but again, for us, we feel like it's the state's responsibility they're the ultimate decider if this is taxable or not taxable. So we think that it should be coming from the state.
But I guess the point being, there's no reason they can't use technology right now that exists to do this and make it super simple, both for you all as the sellers, but also the consumer to know.
Exactly.
Representative Kirkman?
Just got me thinking, you know, talking about technology, the bigger retailers. Is there a way, because I know there's some retailers, like you said, have 10, 12 stores, and when the sales tax audit goes through, they could send their software on a proactive basis to the department and go, like, is that technology there where you could send your whole item list to the Department of Revenue? They would know that, see, and put the onus on us as the state, saying, you know, like coming up like our CFIS software, I don't know, like.
So I think those are great suggestions. That purpose again is to just define the problem, learn how it works, and we can and as a byproduct come up with some solutions. I think the fact that you've got to update your software weekly is maybe sort of shoots that by the time we send it to you the information, it's obsolete. But
They'd be willing to do it.
I know, but our purpose today really is to have some conversation.
Well,
So,
I'm
go
just,
ahead, follow up.
the secretary is here. I just want to, you know, like as legislators, as we come, because I'm going to go talk to those grocery owners, and I'm just one who got charged. It wasn't the 60, it was the six-figure fine, but it was substantial. Actually, he's not in my list. He's actually a representative from the 60-figure district. And so that's where I'm just trying to figure out how can we make this better for our constituents.
Right.
Also, then on the juice aspect, I want to know. So I worked a short stint in the grocery store, third shift while I was running for office. So can you pull up those juices right there? So does the WIC program, okay, so
That's
if
a good question.
you got that consumer
Yeah.
who, because juice is under the WIC program,
Right.
and goes and pulls a juice off because it's under WIC.
Right.
One is taxed, one is not taxed. Do we pay through WIC?
Great question.
I actually don't know. I don't think so. Because I believe that because of the items that are prescribed under WIC, because it's prescription-based, they are all not taxable. Because I think it has to be 100% juiced and it's, yeah.
So, that's where you get
Yeah.
the WIC person.
I believe.
Because again, I worked a short
What's
stint.
the answer to that? So the WIC person would be eligible for one but not the other?
Right, they would have to buy the one that's
Right, because
100% juice.
the WIC program is a prescription, and it's very specific. They will say you can only purchase 100% fruit juice, you know, this size and this. Actually, sometimes it's even certain brands that they prescribe. So, you know, they're very aware. They actually do keep a database of all of the UPCs. Retailers are required to send them to them. But yeah,
I answered my own question.
How fun.
yes.
All right, we're having fun.
We got one last question.
Okay, one last question, Mr. Peterson.
Yep, I'll make it real quick. The doctor before you talked about elastic, inelastic. So let's say I'm serving hamburgers tonight, pound of hamburger, maybe $4 or less if you find it on sale. If it had tax across the board, I'd pay 20 cents tax on a pound of hamburger. Someone else with better means might be having a pound of lobster tonight. Currently, both are untaxed. They would pay $1.50 in tax. Are you really going to see a drop off in your lobster sales because of that? On simplicity?
If you're really asking me to answer, I would say I don't believe so. I don't think anybody realizes that some of these products are taxed. It doesn't change their spending.
And that just gets back.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great point. All right, thank you so much. Michelle, that was really great. Thanks for the innovative approach, and I think it was, and the dynamics of the group. We get to wrap things up today with, who are we talking to here? Mr. Korenzinski. He's the Director of State and Local Taxation for Grant Thornton, and very excited to have you here because I'm dorky that way. So thank you for your patience.